Urgent, Stephen Curry makes a strong statement about LeBron James. Nobody expected it. Stay until the end to find out everything. But before starting the video, leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news about the Lakers. As the NBA world braces for the eventual retirement of LeBron James, one of the most vocal and respected players who has often acknowledged LeBron's greatness is none other than Stephen Curry. While rivals on the court, especially during their iconic finals clashes, Curry and LeBron have long shared a mutual respect that transcends competition. In this first chapter, we explore how Curry has come to view LeBron, not just as an opponent, but as a symbol of longevity, greatness, and transformation within the sport. Stephen Curry has always been known for his calm, reflective demeanor. Behind the dazzling three-pointers and revolutionary style of play lies a student of the game, someone who deeply respects the journey of greatness regardless of team colors. From the early stages of his own rise, Curry understood that LeBron wasn't just another superstar. He was the standard. A player whose mere presence altered the game, redefined physical expectations, and carried the weight of a league on his shoulders. To Curry, LeBron represents a blueprint for sustained excellence. The way he's maintained his body, his mind, and his competitive fire well into his late 30s is nothing short of remarkable. Curry has commented often on how LeBron has redefined what longevity looks like, and there's truth in that. In a league that demands constant evolution, LeBron remained a top-tier performer, still capable of dominating games in his 20th season. Curry sees that as more than just talent. It's a commitment, an obsession with greatness that few truly understand. What makes this dynamic even more interesting is that Curry himself is now aging in the league. He is no longer the young sharpshooter shocking the world. He's the seasoned leader, the franchise cornerstone, and the role model for younger players like Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga once were. Watching LeBron continue to thrive has had a personal impact on Steph. It made him believe that a career into the late 30s or even early 40s is not only possible but can be productive, maybe even historic. When asked about LeBron's potential retirement, Curry often avoids speculation, instead focusing on gratitude. He talks about appreciating what LeBron has brought to the game, his consistency, his leadership, and his showmanship. Curry, always humble in the face of greatness, often mentions how blessed the league has been to witness LeBron play for 2 decades. Even as opponents, the mutual admiration is evident. Curry has said before that every time he played against LeBron, you knew you had to bring your best. And it wasn't just because LeBron was physically dominant, it was because of the way he studied the game. Curry admires LeBron's basketball IQ perhaps even more than his dunks or highlight reel plays. To him, the most terrifying version of LeBron was the one who could read the floor like a grandmaster, anticipate rotations, control tempo, and manipulate matchups, all while scoring 30 points. That's the version of LeBron Curry respected the most, the one who thought the game 5 plays ahead. The question of LeBron's retirement isn't just about one player leaving. It's about a monumental shift in basketball history. Curry knows that. He knows the era they've shared is special. The finals battles between the Warriors and the Cavaliers weren't just entertaining, they were defining moments in the sport. They shaped narratives, legacies, and the trajectory of franchises. Without LeBron, those moments lose a dimension. And Curry, ever the historian of the game, understands the weight of that absence. As the sun slowly sets on LeBron's career, Curry has become one of the most important voices reflecting on his legacy. Their paths have been intertwined for over a decade, through rivalry, respect, and mutual greatness. Whether it's in post-game interviews, podcasts, or casual conversations with teammates, Curry's thoughts on LeBron are always laced with awe, appreciation, and a sense of shared history. The king may retire, but for the chef, the lessons, battles, and memories will remain forever etched in gold. There are rivalries that define eras, and then there are rivalries that shape legacies. For Stephen Curry, LeBron James was not just a competitor, he was the competitor. The finals battles between the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers from 2015 to 2018 were more than just games. They were cultural moments that captivated the world. Curry's thoughts on LeBron's potential retirement are inseparable from the history they wrote together under the brightest lights in basketball. Curry has often reflected on the magnitude of those finals matchups. He's admitted, both on and off the record, that facing LeBron on that stage required something different. Not just more effort but a different level of mental sharpness. "You didn't just have to beat LeBron," he once remarked to a teammate. "You had to outthink him, outlast him, and somehow still have enough left in the tank to survive." Those series were physical chess matches, and LeBron was the ultimate opponent. Experienced, unpredictable, and relentlessly dominant. In the 2016 finals, LeBron and the Cavaliers pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in NBA history, coming back from a 3-1 deficit to steal the championship from Curry's Warriors. That loss stung for Curry. It haunted the Warriors' locker room for months. But even in defeat, Steph carried a sense of admiration for LeBron's performance. It wasn't just the numbers, 41 points in back-to-back games, a triple-double in Game 7, it was the will, the poise, the refusal to be denied. Curry called it one of the greatest displays of leadership I've ever seen. That finals loss sparked a fire in Golden State, leading to the addition of Kevin Durant and the formation of a modern-day super team. But even as the Warriors steamrolled through the league, sweeping the Cavaliers in 2018, Curry never underestimated LeBron. "You can't relax for a second when he's on the court," he said. "He sees everything. He's like a quarterback with X-ray vision." Even in the losses, LeBron's impact loomed large. For Curry, those games were tests of everything he had: skill, stamina, and strategy. What's remarkable is how mutual the respect became, even when emotions ran high. Both players competed fiercely, exchanged trash talk, and celebrated big moments. But after the buzzer, there was always a handshake. Always a look of acknowledgement. Curry has spoken about how rare that is, to find someone who brings out your best not because you hate them, but because you respect them too much to be anything less than great. The looming retirement of LeBron brings those memories into sharp focus for Curry. With each passing season, the NBA shifts. Players come and go. But Steph knows that some eras are defined not by teams but by duels, and his with LeBron is legendary. Without LeBron on the court, something essential feels missing. The rivalry shaped who Curry became. It pushed him to train harder, to think smarter, to evolve. "Every time we played them," he once said, "you could feel history being written." There's also a personal element to this story. Both men entered the league with questions around them. LeBron carried the weight of being the chosen one. Curry was told he was too small, too frail, not built for the NBA. Their journeys were different, but they both ended up rewriting the rules of what greatness looks like. And in each other they found validation. Curry knows that without LeBron, his legacy might not be as compelling. The best stories need a worthy opponent, and in LeBron, Curry found the ultimate antagonist, and the ultimate mirror. Now, as LeBron edges closer to the end, Curry finds himself not just reflecting on the games, but on what they meant. They weren't just about banners and rings. They were about growth, resilience, and mutual evolution. "We made each other better," Curry admitted in a press conference once. That's the kind of rivalry every athlete dreams of, the kind that lasts beyond the buzzer, beyond the court, and into the legacy books. If LeBron does retire, Curry knows the NBA will lose a giant. But more personally, he'll lose the one man who consistently pushed him to his limits. And for an elite competitor like Curry, that's both an end and a tribute. The battles may be over, but the respect, deep, enduring, and mutual, will never fade. When Stephen Curry entered the NBA in 2009, LeBron James was already a 6-year veteran, an MVP, and one of the most dominant forces the league had ever seen. Curry, on the other hand, was a young sharpshooter with a slight frame and major question marks surrounding his durability and ability to lead a franchise. Yet, over time, their careers would intertwine in extraordinary ways. For Curry, watching and competing against LeBron wasn't just part of the journey, it shaped the journey. In interviews over the years, Curry has made subtle references to how watching LeBron operate at the highest level influenced his own habits. Not just the way he trained, but how he carried himself, how he engaged with fans, the media, and teammates. "You can learn a lot from how someone handles the pressure," Curry once said. LeBron's had it since he was 16. And he's still out here, still dominating, still leading. Curry never modeled his game after LeBron. They are completely different players in style and physical makeup. LeBron is a freight train, a combination of power and precision. Curry is finesse, rhythm, timing, and range. But while their games differ, their commitment to excellence mirrors each other. They both built reputations on relentless work ethics. As time went on, Curry watched how LeBron adjusted: less explosive dunks, more strategic pacing. Fewer sprints, more orchestration. That evolution stuck with Steph. In 2014-15, the first time Curry's Warriors faced LeBron's Cavaliers in the finals, Steph realized just how cerebral LeBron was. It wasn't just about scoring or defense, it was about understanding momentum, feeling the rhythm of the game, knowing when to take over and when to trust teammates. He controls the game like a conductor, Curry told a friend after Game 2. That ability to dictate pace became something Steph quietly began adding to his own game. Watching LeBron think his way through a 7-game series was like attending a masterclass in leadership. And then came the years of battles, 2015 to 2018, when both men found themselves in direct opposition on the biggest stage. With every series, the rivalry deepened, but so did the respect. The pain of losing in 2016, and the triumph of winning back-to-back in 2017 and 2018, shaped Curry's mindset. He began to understand how LeBron had carried that mental burden for years, how the scrutiny, expectations, and media noise never went away even when you won. That's something only the greatest understand. And Curry began to see himself in that same category, in part because he had stood across from the man who embodied it first. The rivalry matured as they aged. When Curry's Warriors returned to the finals in 2022, this time without LeBron in the mix, it felt different. The challenge was still immense, but the familiar edge, the shadow that LeBron always cast, was gone. Steph admitted it felt like a new chapter, but also one that made him reflect on what had come before. Those were the wars, he told reporters. Those were the years where every game felt like life and death. And it was because of who was on the other side. Off the court, their relationship began to show signs of deeper appreciation. They were no longer just rivals, they were elder statesmen in a league that was shifting under their feet. When they teamed up during All-Star Weekend, you could sense the joy. No rivalry. No tension. Just two basketball legends sharing the court, savoring the game. Curry joked during an interview that, "It took us 12 years to play on the same team." The smile was genuine. As LeBron's retirement becomes more of a reality than a rumor, Curry finds himself in an introspective space. He knows what it's like to be the face of a franchise. He understands the grind of carrying a team year after year, playoff run after playoff run. And because he's lived that same weight, though with a different style, he's one of the few people in the world who truly gets what LeBron has done. That's why the idea of LeBron stepping away feels more personal to Steph than to most. It's not just the end of a player, it's the end of a chapter that shaped who he became. The respect isn't performative. It's rooted in shared sacrifice, in having survived the same storms and climbed the same mountains. If LeBron was the sun, always blazing, Curry was the moon, quietly reshaping the tides. Together they changed the landscape of basketball. And if LeBron does walk away, Curry will carry part of that legacy forward, not just in trophies or records, but in the understanding that greatness is forged through the presence of greatness. For most of his career, Stephen Curry lived in a league where LeBron James was the center of gravity. Whether LeBron was playing in Cleveland, Miami, or Los Angeles, the narrative always began and ended with him. He was the measuring stick, the unavoidable comparison, the force that everything had to be built around, or against. And for Curry, that wasn't a threat. It was a challenge. One that he accepted with open arms. Being great in this league means constantly looking up at someone who's already done it, Curry once said. For me, that was always LeBron. He wasn't bitter about it. In fact, it gave him direction. It gave him a goal. Not just to win, but to matter in the same way LeBron mattered. To inspire, to dominate, and to lead. LeBron wore the crown, but Curry was determined to earn his own. And over time he did. Their paths were never parallel in the traditional sense. LeBron came into the league with immense hype and pressure, immediately expected to carry franchises and restore legacies. Curry's rise was slower, more unlikely. Drafted 7th overall, often overlooked due to his size and unorthodox style, he had to convince the world one shot at a time. While LeBron was always a king in waiting, Curry was the unexpected heir, the revolutionary no one saw coming. And yet, both found themselves at the top, just in different kingdoms. Curry has spoken candidly about what it was like to exist in the LeBron era. Every championship conversation, every MVP debate, somehow involved him, he said once in an interview. Even when we won 73 games, even when I was unanimous MVP, there was always a sense that he was still looming. But that presence wasn't discouraging, it was refining. Curry learned how to lead under the shadow of greatness. He learned how to make his voice matter in a room that was already echoing with the sound of LeBron's achievements. And eventually, that leadership began to evolve. As Curry grew into the face of the Warriors, he didn't try to emulate LeBron's leadership style. Instead, he cultivated his own, quieter, more subtle but no less impactful. Where LeBron might rally with fiery speeches or overt direction, Curry led through example, consistency, and joy. The league had room for both approaches. And Curry knew, deep down, that his growth into a leader was accelerated by having someone like LeBron ahead of him showing the way. The thought of LeBron retiring hits different for Steph. It isn't just the end of a peer's career, it's the removal of the figure he spent most of his adult life chasing. That kind of shift shakes the foundations. Curry often says that greatness needs contrast to be fully understood. LeBron was that contrast. He was the fire to Curry's calm, the explosion to Curry's rhythm. Their differences made each other shine. And without LeBron in the league, Curry will feel the weight of being the last pillar of a golden age. That responsibility isn't lost on him. He knows younger players now look at him the way he once looked at LeBron. With awe, with hunger, with the desire to prove themselves against him. And he knows he has to uphold the legacy he helped build. One that includes at its very core the presence of LeBron James. That's why the idea of LeBron stepping away makes Curry reflective. It's not just the absence of a player. It's the passing of a torch. And Curry, who never asked for the crown, now finds himself holding it. But there's humility in his voice when he speaks about it. I don't think anyone replaces LeBron, he once said. You just honor what he did and try to keep the standard high. That's the kind of reverence that comes only after years of shared battles, not just in games, but in legacy building. Curry's not trying to rewrite LeBron's story, he's trying to write the next chapter in the book they both started. In a league that constantly moves forward, Curry stands as a bridge between eras. And as he prepares to carry that mantle, he does so with the wisdom that only rivalry and respect can provide. LeBron may be nearing the end of his journey, but Curry knows that what they built, together and against each other, will echo far beyond the final whistle. For all their battles on the court, one of the things Stephen Curry admires most about LeBron James isn't what he did with a basketball, it's what he did without it. As Curry reflects on the possibility of LeBron's retirement, his thoughts often shift from the stats and trophies to the broader legacy LeBron has crafted. As a father, an entrepreneur, an advocate, and a symbol of power used with purpose. To Curry, LeBron didn't just dominate the NBA, he transcended it. In recent years, Curry himself has grown into a public figure whose influence stretches far beyond basketball. But long before Curry opened schools or launched production companies, LeBron was laying that blueprint. The I Promise School, built for at-risk youth in Akron, Ohio, left a strong impression on Curry. That's impact that outlasts the game, he once said. That's legacy. LeBron showed a generation of athletes how to use their platform without apology. He spoke out on racial injustice, police brutality, voter suppression, and countless other issues that athletes were once encouraged to avoid. And he didn't just speak, he mobilized. Through organizations like More Than a Vote, LeBron changed the way players thought about their responsibility to society. Curry took notice. He gave a voice to the voiceless even when it came at a cost, Steph acknowledged. That's leadership. It wasn't just activism. LeBron's business acumen also influenced Curry's vision for his own post-basketball future. LeBron became the first active NBA player to become a billionaire, with investments in everything from media to sports franchises. He built an empire, Spring Hill Company, Blaze Pizza, equity stakes in soccer and baseball teams. He showed that athletes could be owners, not just endorsers. Curry, always intellectually curious, saw that and thought, why not me too? Today, Curry has his own ventures: Unanimous Media, Eat, Learn, Play Foundation, and collaborations with major tech and sports companies. While their brands are different, LeBron's is assertive and monumental, Curry's is sleek and educational. The inspiration is undeniable. He made it okay to be ambitious in every direction, Curry once said. To not limit yourself to what people expect from an athlete. As the possibility of LeBron's retirement looms, Curry feels a complex mix of emotions. Pride for sure, pride in what his peer accomplished, but also a sense of responsibility. He broke barriers, Curry says. Now it's on us to keep pushing them. In many ways, LeBron's off-court trailblazing expanded the map for Curry's own aspirations. If LeBron retires, it's not just the league losing a superstar, it's the cultural moment shifting. But Curry doesn't view it with sadness. He sees it as a challenge. You look at what he's done and you think, how do I build something that lives that long? That helps that many people? That says something bigger than points per game. These aren't questions you ask unless someone like LeBron comes before you. Someone who redefines what being an athlete really means. And let's not forget family. Curry often mentions how he relates to LeBron's role as a father. Both men have raised their kids under the spotlight, trying to shield them from pressure while preparing them for success. Watching LeBron celebrate his sons, Bronny and Bryce, without ever making it about himself has always struck a chord with Steph. He's present, Curry said, through everything. That's the real flex. If LeBron steps away from basketball, Curry knows the work won't stop. In fact, it might just expand. Curry expects LeBron to be more involved in production, philanthropy, and global initiatives. And in that continued presence, Curry sees an example he hopes to follow. The idea that your prime can outlast your playing days. That being great isn't tied to your athletic peak, it's tied to your purpose. So when Curry thinks about LeBron's eventual exit from the NBA, he doesn't just see a jersey being hung in the rafters. He sees the start of a second act, one that might be even more powerful than the first. And in that there's hope. Because if LeBron's path has shown anything, it's that the court may end but the impact doesn't. There's a moment in every athlete's life when the game begins to whisper instead of roar. For Stephen Curry, that moment hasn't arrived yet, but he can hear it echoing through the footsteps of others. And now, with the growing possibility of LeBron James retiring, that whisper has become louder, more real. Not because Curry is nearing the end himself, but because someone larger than life might be walking away. It shakes the league. It shakes him. LeBron's presence in the NBA has always felt eternal. For Curry, and for nearly every player of his generation, LeBron wasn't just part of the league, he was the league. There's never been a version of the modern NBA without him in it. He was always on a roster, always in the conversation, always looming somewhere, either as a rival, an icon, or a measuring stick. The idea of that disappearing leaves a hollow space. And Curry knows it. When asked in private moments how he feels about LeBron's eventual departure, Steph often becomes unusually quiet. He's never been one to fear change, but this change feels different. It's like watching a mountain move, he once said. You get so used to seeing it there, towering over everything. And one day it just starts to shift. For Curry, LeBron has been that mountain, unshakable, immovable, and somehow always evolving. They were never teammates, never played for the same system. Yet their careers became symbiotic. The rise of one sharpened the resolve of the other. The championships, the MVP races, the All-Star weekends, each moment had LeBron somewhere in the frame. And now the frame is about to change. For Curry, it's more than nostalgia. It's the disorienting realization that the rules of his basketball universe are being rewritten. Steph isn't sentimental by nature. But this hits differently. Because when you've spent your entire professional life chasing someone, matching their pace, competing against their shadow, and finally standing shoulder to shoulder with them, you don't just lose a competitor when they leave. You lose a part of your own narrative. He was the mirror I didn't know I needed, Curry once reflected. When you see someone pushing that hard for that long, it forces you to ask if you're doing enough. And so, the thought of LeBron walking away feels strangely personal. Not because Steph wants him to stay for rivalry's sake, but because of what LeBron represents. Consistency, greatness, and presence. There's something grounding about knowing he's out there, still training, still playing, still making history. It gives meaning to the grind. When that's gone, everything else feels a bit quieter. It also reminds Curry that his own time isn't infinite. He's still at the top of his game, still putting up historic numbers, but he's also a decade and a half into his career. The minutes, the travel, the miles on the legs, they add up. Seeing LeBron potentially take his final bow is a preview of what all great players must eventually face: the end. And Steph feels that truth more acutely now. What do you do when one of the last giants leaves the floor? You remember. You celebrate. You reflect. And then you carry the torch. Curry knows the league will go on. It always does. New stars will rise. New rivalries will emerge. But the LeBron era wasn't just another period, it was a cultural epoch. It defined a generation. And for Steph, being part of it wasn't just an honor, it was an education. I became who I am because I had to face him, he once admitted. He made me work harder. He made me believe I could be more. The curtain hasn't fully fallen yet. LeBron might still have a final act. A farewell tour. One more season to remind the world who he is. And if that happens, Curry will be the first to give him his flowers. On the court, in the interviews, in the legacy that will remain long after the lights go out. But even if the end is near, Curry's not mourning. He's honoring. Because when legends leave, they don't disappear. They echo. And for Stephen Curry, that echo will ring loud, clear, and forever. Basketball, like life, is a game of moments. Some pass without weight, others linger forever. For Stephen Curry, the career of LeBron James is a tapestry of unforgettable memories. Some shared directly on the hardwood, others witnessed from afar, but all of them carved into the foundation of modern NBA history. As LeBron's retirement inches closer to reality, it's those moments that start to rise to the surface of Steph's thoughts. He remembers the first time they shared the court, how surreal it felt to line up across from someone who had already been crowned the chosen one before he had even stepped foot in the league. You knew you were in the presence of someone different, Curry recalled. Not just bigger, stronger, faster, but smarter, more aware. Like he could see the game in slow motion. He remembers the 2015 finals, his first appearance on the game's biggest stage, and the beginning of 4 consecutive epic battles between the Warriors and LeBron's Cavaliers. In that series, Curry's team took the crown, but LeBron left the biggest imprint. With Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love both injured, LeBron nearly averaged a triple-double over the series and carried an undermanned team to 6 games. I won my first ring, but I also realized that greatness doesn't always need a trophy to be seen, Curry later said. Then came 2016. Steph doesn't talk much about that year. Not publicly. The Warriors had broken the regular season record with 73 wins. Curry had become the first unanimous MVP. They were up 3-1 in the finals. And then, LeBron happened. The block on Iguodala. The chase down. The 3-1 comeback. The championship. The tears. That memory doesn't just belong to LeBron, it belongs to Curry too. It's part of his story as much as it's part of LeBron's legacy. It was painful, Steph has said, but it taught me about resilience. It taught me what it takes to come back better. That's the beauty and cruelty of rivalry, it forces you to grow. It humbles you even as it defines you. There are the lighter memories too, like the time they shared laughs at the All-Star game, finally playing on the same team, joking like brothers who'd finally found a moment to breathe. Or the time LeBron picked Curry first in the All-Star draft, a nod of respect from a rival who rarely gave easy praise. Steph smiled that day, not just because it was fun but because he knew how far they had come. But it's not just what LeBron did against Steph that stays. It's what LeBron did for the game. Curry often talks about how LeBron elevated every arena he entered, how the energy changed when he stepped on the floor. Whether it was a Tuesday night in Charlotte or Game 7 of the finals, LeBron played with weight, with meaning. He made every moment feel like it mattered, Steph once said. And that changes how you approach the game. That's what Curry will miss most when LeBron is gone, the sense that at any moment something historic might happen. A no-look pass through 3 defenders. A game-saving block. A full-court sprint at age 39 that ends in a dunk that makes you forget the years. LeBron turned the NBA into theater, not just sport. And being part of that show, even from the opposite side of the script, was a gift Steph never took for granted. As the league begins to prepare for life without its most iconic active player, Curry finds himself in a strange emotional space. Gratitude certainly. Awe definitely. But also a quiet sadness. Because when a figure like LeBron steps down, it's not just a player leaving. It's a collection of memories becoming history. Curry knows the stories will be told for decades. The jerseys will hang. The highlights will loop. But for those who lived it, who stood face to face with LeBron, who competed against him, who felt the full force of his will, those moments are more than just clips. They're personal. They're emotional. They're scars and badges at the same time. So as Curry remembers it all, the wins, the losses, the battles, the jokes, he holds on to something deeper. The understanding that greatness isn't just about what you do. It's about how people remember you. And no matter when LeBron finally walks away, Stephen Curry knows this truth. The league won't just remember him. You will never forget him. When a figure like LeBron James nears the end of his career, it isn't just about closing a chapter. It's about who writes the next one. For Stephen Curry, that responsibility feels heavier now than ever. Not because he's trying to replace LeBron, that would be impossible, but because he knows the league needs someone to guide the next generation. And whether he ever wanted the job or not, Curry realizes that, in many ways, the torch is now in his hands. LeBron wasn't just a basketball player. He was a system, a movement, a gravity well around which everything else in the NBA orbited. As he fades from the court, that center of gravity shifts. And Curry, with his 4 championships, 2 MVPs and game-changing influence, now stands as the league's senior statesman. He's the face of continuity in a league always moving forward. But being that face doesn't just mean being the best scorer or most marketable name, it means setting the tone. Curry understands that. You don't replace LeBron, he once said. But you do have to honor what he built. You do that by keeping the standard high. You do that by leading the way he led, by example, with integrity and with vision. Steph has never craved the spotlight in the same way others have. His leadership style is quieter, more internal. But he's always led by showing what's possible. He redefined how the game is played, how far a shot can be taken, how quickly a team can shift momentum, how joy can coexist with dominance. That, in its own way, is just as revolutionary as LeBron's physicality and longevity. As Curry contemplates a league without LeBron, he sees a crossroads. A moment where young stars like Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander begin to rise, and look to someone for example. In Steph's mind, the legacy LeBron leaves isn't just about stats and banners. It's about presence. It's about how to carry yourself when the cameras are off. How to support causes bigger than yourself. How to win with grace and lose with dignity. I want to be the guy who helps them understand what this really means, Curry has said privately. Not just the game but the platform. The pressure. The responsibility. The opportunity. It's the same awareness that LeBron brought to every interview, every social campaign, every business move. And now it's Curry's turn. There's also a more personal evolution happening. With LeBron stepping back, Curry has begun to reflect more deeply on his own timeline. He's still playing at an elite level, but the end for him too is closer than the beginning. That awareness doesn't depress him, it sharpens him. He's thinking legacy now, not just highlights. What do I leave behind? He asks himself. What do people say when I'm gone? That reflection informs everything, from how he mentors younger players to how he structures his off-court ventures. It's not enough to be great anymore. He wants to build something. And in many ways, LeBron gave him that blueprint. Curry often references how LeBron made space for others, how he used his power to elevate voices and create platforms. That's leadership in the truest form, Curry says. That's what I want to do next. He's already begun. With his eat, learn, play Foundation: Curry is feeding kids, funding education, and creating safe spaces for underserved communities. With unanimous media, he's shaping stories that inspire, educate, and entertain. And every move, every initiative, is made with intention, because now the next generation is watching him. That's the paradox of legacy. It isn't defined when you're at your peak, it's defined by what you leave behind. LeBron showed Curry that. And now Curry, with reverence and humility, prepares to carry that weight forward. As he looks around the league, he sees a future that is bright, dynamic, and rapidly evolving. But he also sees a gap, a space where LeBron once stood, anchoring everything. Curry doesn't want to fill that space. He wants to honor it. And in doing so, he wants to build a new foundation, one rooted in respect, responsibility, and the unwavering pursuit of excellence. The crown doesn't pass in a single game. It's not about headlines or scoring titles. It's about service. It's about example. And in that sense, Stephen Curry is ready, not to be the next LeBron but to be the first Steph in a world LeBron helped shape. As the sun begins to set on LeBron James' monumental career, Stephen Curry finds himself reflecting not only on the rivalries and battles, but on a deeper connection, a mutual respect and friendship forged through years of competing at the highest level. Their journeys, though different in style and story, have intertwined in ways that shaped the NBA's modern era. For Curry, the thought of LeBron stepping away brings a bittersweet feeling. It marks the end of an era but also the completion of a circle. From young upstart to seasoned veteran, Curry's career arc mirrors the passage of time. Once chasing LeBron's shadow, now standing as one of the game's pillars himself. "We started on opposite sides," he has said, "but over the years you realize it's not just about beating each other. It's about pushing each other to be better." Their relationship evolved beyond rivalry into camaraderie, grounded in shared experiences of pressure, sacrifice, and the quest for greatness. They understand the loneliness of stardom, the scrutiny, the expectations. And while they've often been portrayed as opposites, LeBron, the powerhouse, Curry, the sharpshooter, their connection reveals a common truth. Greatness is as much about heart as talent. Curry admires LeBron not just for the points scored or championships won, but for his unwavering dedication to family, community, and purpose. LeBron's role as a father, mentor, and activist resonates deeply with Steph, who is carving his own path in these realms. "He's shown me what it means to be more than an athlete," Curry reflects. "To use your platform to create real change." Looking to the future, Curry knows the NBA will feel different without LeBron's presence on the floor. But he also believes the foundation laid by LeBron opens doors for new voices and new leaders. "He raised the bar in every way," Curry says. "Now it's our job to keep raising it in our own way." In this new chapter, Curry envisions a league where players are not only competitors but collaborators, where the legacy is collective, not individual. He sees himself as part of a continuum, inspired by LeBron but driven to leave his own unique mark. The lessons from their shared history are clear. Greatness requires resilience, humility, and vision. And as LeBron's playing days draw to a close, Curry embraces the responsibility to uphold those ideals, to be a steward of the game, a mentor to the next generation, and a beacon of integrity. As they prepare to write the final pages of this remarkable story, one thing remains certain: their impact transcends the hardwood. It lives in the communities they uplift, the young players they inspire, and the fans who witness their greatness. Stephen Curry knows the era defined by LeBron James will never truly end. It will live on, in memories, in records, and in the very spirit of the game they both love. And as he steps forward to lead, he carries with him not just the torch, but the profound gratitude for a journey shared with a once-in-a-lifetime competitor and friend. The future is unwritten. But one thing is clear: the legacy of LeBron James, and the respect and admiration from Stephen Curry, will echo through the ages, a testament to the power of greatness, friendship, and the enduring love of basketball.